I'm going to start off for those that may not be familiar with what a development moratorium is. It is essentially a temporary halt on approvals for new development projects meeting specific criteria. It serves as a temporary pause to thoughtfully evaluate our existing regulations, policies, and procedures before additional development occurs. And some common reasons for implementing a moratorium include rapid growth and development pressure, overloaded infrastructure, and in the case of Webster, I would be referring to many of our main roads and transportation network, as well as the electric grid, as well as outdated zoning regulations that are in need of updating to reflect modern uses, standards, and community priorities. So why Webster and why now? So the town of Webster has been and continues to experience increased development pressure and interest for large-scale development projects, while at the same time, we're in the process of updating our comprehensive plan that is approximately 18 years old at this point. And we are anticipating changes to the town zoning code following the adoption of the updated plan. So a temporary moratorium would essentially allow the town to complete this work to ensure that any future proposed development is consistent with the community's long-term vision. And as I mentioned, typically coincides with upcoming policy updates that come from a comprehensive plan update, which, as most everyone is aware, is currently underway and is expected to be completed within the next 6 months. So included in the proposed moratorium are major residential subdivisions, and that primarily means anything including 5 lots or more. It also would include new development in all commercial districts. So we have the LC1 and LC2, which stands for our low intensity commercial districts. The MC zone, which is the medium intensity commercial, primarily located along the Ridge Road corridor. The HC is our high intensity commercial district, which is primarily the north side of Ridge Road and bounded by Route 104 between 5 Mile and Rachel Drive. And then we have the CO zone, which is commercial outdoor storage. That is the north side of Ridge Road between Hatch and 5 Mile Line Road, where a lot of our existing car dealerships are located. It would also include new development in the OP Office Park North District, which is primarily north of Route 104 between 5 Mile Line Road and Holt Road. It would also include any new proposed data centers, as well as any additional large-scale solar projects. So what would not be included in the proposed moratorium? Minor residential subdivisions. So these are your lots, a particular piece of property that could be subdivided into no more than 4 additional parcels. Any renovations, maintenance, repairs to existing residential dwellings would not be included in the moratorium. Your common home improvements, such as constructions of decks, sheds, fences, in-ground and above-ground swimming pools, and accessory structures would not be included. Redevelopment of existing commercial spaces. So any of the vacant tenant spaces within our existing commercial plazas would also not be included. Any properties within the village of Webster would not be included. Industrial development, and any utility and infrastructure maintenance, repairs, and upgrades. So in terms of duration, as I mentioned, moratorium is temporary. The proposed moratorium would be valid for a period of 6 months, with up to 2 additional 3-month extensions that would be at the town board's discretion. So a brief summary of the process and some next steps. We have a proposed local law number 2 of 2026, which is the proposed development moratorium. We are basically presenting the proposal for the first time this evening. We would hold a public hearing to hear some feedback from the residents and property owners in town. The town board and town staff would review any public comments, and then it would be brought back before the town board ultimately for a vote. So we put together a dedicated web page that's accessible on the town's website where folks can get more information. It's www.websterny.gov/moratorium. And that will have a link to the actual language in the document. It'll also have answers to frequently asked questions. There will be an opportunity for an online submittal for community feedback and other ways to contact the town board members. And then we would also post information on the public hearing and updates regarding any future meetings that are held on this topic. So I just want to close out the presentation just with an important note, reiterating that a development moratorium is only temporary, and it is intended to ensure that future growth and development aligns with our community's goals and priorities. And with that, I will open it up to any questions or comments that anyone may have.
I got nothing, so we'll defer to.
So I just want to comment first, in that we are embarking upon, a new comprehensive plan. I think your timing is fantastic. And you had mentioned updating the zoning codes, which are badly in need of that. And I was wondering if you could just expand a little bit on, how that's going to happen. Do you have a team working on that? Is that something that our consultants are going to work on? But I agree, the zoning codes are badly in need of updating.
Yes, sure. So the current scope for our consultant team is strictly relating to the update of the comprehensive plan. Once the plan is finalized and adopted by the town board, there is a whole nother subsequent effort that needs to take place. And that's to really take the existing zoning code and revise it to align with the new vision and priorities of the adopted plan. So that is a major intensive effort. Our plan is to pursue the second round of funding associated with the Smart Growth grant that we got for the current comprehensive plan update. The state has now added a zoning revision component to the program. So our intent is to pursue the opportunity through this year's upcoming CFA grant process so that we can hit the ground running essentially once the plan ultimately gets adopted.
What's the date when the state's open for submission to request funds?
I believe it typically occurs in late May or early June, and the deadline for submittal is July 30th usually. Oh. So we've already met with our grant consultants, Jean O'Connell, kind of explained to her where we were in the comprehensive planning process, and she also agrees that I think we'll be far enough along that we can put ourselves in a good position to pursue the next set of funding.
Perfect. Thanks, Josh.
Jen, anything?
I just want to say thank you for the very thorough presentation. We've had a few projects that have come to the board, and that has been the general comment, especially with the change in board construct this year and the comprehensive plan. Those two things coming together makes a lot of sense to do this now. And it's very good news to hear about the zoning update grant. And since we're so far with the comprehensive plan, I think those two things are going to come together quite nicely. My only question is about the timing, because if this goes into effect, I don't know, say in a month, and the comprehensive plan is done sometime over the summer, how much longer will the zoning plan take? And will it take the full year? Will it be longer than a year?
Well, there are a couple variables at play, but if everything were to fall into place and we were able to complete the comprehensive plan by late summer, I'd say by August or September is our target date. Depending on the public feedback that we get and how, if there are suggested edits or changes to the proposed moratorium, that may add some additional time. But the thought is if it were to be in effect by June, the initial 6 months would bring us through the end of 2026. In full transparency, I don't anticipate we would have a completely revised zoning code. And depending on how that plays out, we could potentially need to come back to the town board for an extension. But timing, that's a very good point. It is critical, and we want to make sure that everything's aligned properly.
Thanks, Josh.
Now, just for the extensions, we have the option for 2 3-month extensions.
That is correct.
Okay.
I would imagine that would be sufficient time to do everything then, within the 12 months, do you think?
Yes, I mean, I think that a 12-month time span for the zoning code update portion is pretty realistic.